Guys, Mr. Bowman here. What I've got in front of us on our screen is this is the Westlake Boys mid-year exams May 2021, and I'm going to be going over my answers and how to approach each of these questions for you. So this first video is going to specifically focus on the number section, and in the next two future videos we're going to go through the probability section and then finish off with that algebra section. So hopefully you find the videos useful. And hopefully it's a good way to recap your exams and figure out what you did wrong. So the first question, which of the following is a factor of 21? So factor is probably the key part here. Factors, numbers that multiply to 21. So we've got 1 times 21, 3 times 7. Can't think of any others. So these are all the factors of 27. Are any of these on the options that we've got here? And yes, there is. So 3. Would be the only factor of 21 on that list. We've then got which of the following is not a prime number. So prime numbers are numbers that can only be multiplied by themselves or 1. So if you think of 17, 1 times 17, can you think of any other numbers that multiply to 17? In this case, no. If we go down to the next one, 1 times 18 is an option. We could also do 6 and 3. So for me, that looks like this here is going to be the answer because I found another pair of numbers that multiply 18. So I'm going to circle that. Let's carry on though. 19, again, only 1 and 19 is what I can think of. And the same for 23 down the end. So that existence of another pair of factors means 18 is going to be our answer. So we're now moving down to question 3. So highest common factor is what we've been asked to look at, and we're trying to explore 36 and 44. So the way I would suggest doing this question is we're just writing our list. So we've got 1 times 36 will get us to 36, 2 times 18, 3 times 12, we've got 4 times 9, and 6 times 6. We're then going to do the same for 44, 1 and 44, 2 and 22, 44 can't be divided by 3 to get a whole number. We'll get a fraction there. 4 and 11 won't be 5, can't be 6, can't be 7, can't be 8, can't be 9, 10, and we're back at 11, so we'll stop there. So these are the factors of 36 and 44. We've now got to see, well, which of them has the highest number in common, and for me it looks like 4 is going to have the highest number. So that means our answer is going to be B. So 4 would be the highest common factor there. We're now looking at lowest common multiples. So we now need to start with doing our multiple lists. 1 times 6 is equal to 6. 2 times 12 is equal to 12. 3 times 18 is equal... Oh, gosh. I just realized I made some mistakes there. So that should be 2 times 6 because we're doing multiples of 6. That gets us to 12. 3 times 6 gets us to 18, and then we'll stop at 4 for now, see if we need any others. But done the same thing again. 4 times 6 equals 24. We now need to look at our list. 1 times 12 equals 12. 2 times 12 equals 24. And we'll stop there because we can see 24 is on both lists and 12 is on both lists. We're now going to pull out the lowest of those, which means A12 is our lowest common multiple of 6 and 12. So we're now on to question 5, which is the last of those multi-choice questions. Which of the following answers would be negative? So that's the key thing there. And the way I'll do it about this, I'll just calculate each of them. So this first one is negative 2 times negative 2, which is positive 4. So we know that's not going to be our answer because that's a positive answer, not a negative answer. We're then going to do the next one here. We've got negative 3. We're going to do the multiplication first for bed maths. So negative 3 plus 8, that's going to equal to positive 5. Again, positive answer, that's not going to be it. The last one, we do the brackets first. 3 plus 4 gets us to 7, so it's going to be 2 times 7. That's going to be positive 14. Probably not that one either. And then the final one is probably going to be this answer, but let's check just to be sure. We've got 2 times 3 is 6, so it's going to be 4 minus 6 gets us to negative 2. Bingo. That's exactly what we're looking for. So D would be our negative answer for that one there. So those are the multi-choice questions. Let's scroll down to the next one. So for this question here, we've got a whole bunch of things in group 1, a whole bunch of things in group 2, and we've got to match the ones or the equivalent ones together. So let's start off with 70%. Normally when you get to 70%, it's asking you to convert it to either a decimal or a fraction, like I've done there. Do we have any of these on our list? It looks like number 4.7 would have been the equivalent to that one there. We then have a look at this fraction. Often it could be changing it to a percent, so that could be 80%. It could be a decimal. We could even simplify that fraction. Do we have any of those? We do actually. Oh gosh, I've undid that one. So that one goes there, and there you go, 4/5 matches. -2 times -2, that's easy. That's going to be +4, and I can see that along here. So let's connect those. 3/4, looks like it's going to be one of those percentage ones again, or maybe even a decimal. Can we see any of those? And we can actually, down the very bottom, 0.75, they match up. We've got 2 minus 6, so that's just some straight math. So let's go -4 to get that. And we do have a -4 on our other side, which is awesome. So we're going to match those. And there's 2 left, -3 matching up there. And that makes sense because -6 divided by 2 is going to get us -3, which was our final answer down there. So we've done that matching one. Now these ones are a bit different. So if you've got 3 correct, we gave you an achieve mark. If you got all 6 correct, that is how you got the full merit mark for that particular question. Okay, so we're now scrolling down. We're trying to convert the following from smallest to largest. And the approach I would be looking to do is, we can see these ones are decimals already, so we'll leave they as they are, but I would be looking to switch each of the fractions to a decimal. Once that's the case, it's really easy to figure out which one's the smallest or which one's the biggest. So in my calculator, I would be doing 3 divided by 11, and that would get me to 0.2727. I'm now going to do the same for the next one. That's going to be 4 divided by 12, and that there is 0.3333. So that's awesome. And the very last one, 7 divided by 25. Don't forget, I'm plugging those into my calculator. You may be able to do them in your head. That gets us to 0.28. That now gives us a decimal for each of the options, and they're a lot easier to rate or compare from smallest to largest. So let's start off with the smallest one. That's going to be this 0.22. Let's cross that out, 0.22. The next smallest appears to be this one over here, 2727. So we're going to put that as the fraction, 3/11. You also might have put it as the decimal you converted it to, so that's all good either way. What's next? Probably this 0.28. So let's put 7/25. And again, you may have put your decimal down the bottom. So we've used that one. And we've now got, between the last two, 0.29. And lucky last, 4/12 or 0.3333. So we've got them from smallest to largest. If you got all of them correct in the right order, so all correct, you got yourself a merit mark. If, for example, here we did those conversions to decimals, if you have a conversion that was correct, we gave you an achieve mark if you didn't get them right in the right order. Hopefully that helps. Okay, question 7 is done. Let's scroll down to question number 8. And we've been asked to draw a prime factor tree to determine the prime factors of 80. So the way we do this is we always write down the number we're interested in, which is 80, and we're going to split this up. Think of any two numbers that multiply to 80. In this case, I'm going to go for a nice easy one. I'm going to go for 4 and 20. I'm then going to think, are either of these prime numbers? In our case, no. So what can I split that 4 up into? So what times 4? Hopefully you've got 2 times 2. And these here are both prime numbers. So I'm going to circle those prime numbers down the bottom. I'm now going to repeat the same for this 20. So what two numbers can you think that multiply to 20? And I'm going to go for 2 and 10 this time. So I know 2 is a prime number, so I'm going to circle that. And is 10 a prime number? Probably not. It's a pretty big number. Well, can we think of any other numbers that multiply to 10? I'm going to go for 2 and 5. And I know 2 is a prime number. Any numbers that multiply to 5? I can only think of 1 and 5, which is an indication that's a prime number, so I'm going to stop there. And I'm going to circle that 5. So if you got this tree correct, you were given an achieved mark. If you then listed out the prime factors in the space provided, the prime factors, it would have been 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And where we got those are the 4 2s from the previous part there. And we mustn't forget about that 5 times 5. A few of you may have gone the extra mile and done 2 to the power of 4 times 5. That last step wasn't needed. If you listed the prime factors for me, that's how you got your merit mark. So well done if you got that question. It was a challenging question, I think. We're now scrolling down to question 9. Use your lowest common multiple skills to answer the following questions. And the first bit asks us to, what are the first 5 multiples of 5 and 10? So multiples means times tables. So you would have started off with 5 times 1, which got you to 5. 5 times 2, which got you to 10. 5 times 3 equals 15. 5 times 4 got us to 20. And then 5 times 5 finishes off them 25. We now need to do the same for 10. So we're going to go 10 times 1 got me to 10. 10 times 2, 20. And I'm going to stop my working, but we got 30, 40, and 50 following on from that. If you're able to get all of those numbers correct, you were awarded an achieved mark for doing that. And based on your answers in the above table, what is the lowest common multiple? And the way I do this is I always circle, well, which ones do they have in common? They both got a 20 in common, and it looks like they both got a 10 in common as well. Now, of these common numbers, which one of them is the lowest? Our lowest common multiple is going to be 10. If you're able to identify that number for us, you would have got another achieved mark. Okay, we're scrolling down. We're on to number 10. Number 10 asks simply, can you circle all of the prime numbers? And the way I approach this question, I was just thinking, well, 2 times 5 is 10, which tells me that is not a prime number. And I carried on. 2 times 7, not a prime number. 2 times 9, that made not a prime number. 2 times 11, not a prime number. And I carried on this for the whole table. So I thought, well, 2 times 6, that means that's gone. 4 times 4 gets us to 16. 4 times 5, and then 4 times 6. So that means none of those were prime numbers. I then had a look. So notice all the even numbers were first. So all of them are gone. And then I had a look at all the other ones. What other prime numbers can I see? And I thought, well, 15, it's 3 times 5. So it can't be that. And I thought, well, 21, that's 7 times 3. So it can't be that. And then I thought 5 times 5. Can't be that as well. And all of the other numbers left over, the only way I can multiply to those numbers is by going like 1 times 11 or 19 times 1, 23 times 1. And they are all indicators that those numbers are prime numbers. So for this question, if you're able to circle 2 of them correctly, we gave you an achieved mark. If you got them all right, you were given a merit mark. If you circled like heaps of numbers like this, then we probably just gave you an achieved mark as well. Okay, so question 10 is done. Hopefully that makes sense the way I did question 10. We're now moving on to question 11. What is the highest common factor of these ones here? And I started off with my usual list. So I looked at 10 and 15 first, and I was like, well, it's 1 times 10, 2 times 5, and then 15, that's 1 times 15, and 3 times 5. They're my factors. I then had a look, well, which is the highest one of those they have in common? And in this case, I thought 5 came up on both lists, and it looked like it was the highest number. So highest common factor, 5. I then did 16 and 24. So we've got 1 times 16, 2 times 8, and 4 times 4. We then did 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 4 times 6 here. And the last one, I actually missed one, 3 times 8 gets us to 24 as well. So now that I've got all the factors, we have a look on both lists, which is the highest one they have in common, and hopefully you got that 8. So I just want to note, a lot of us did write 4 in the exam, but 4 is not correct because 8 is a higher one in common. And 2 and 3, this one was a bit of a trick question at the end. 2 times 1 and 3 times 1 are the only factors because they're, of course, both prime numbers. That means the highest number they have in common is that 1. So this one here, the marking was actually pretty nice. If you got 1 correct, you were given an achieved mark. If you got 2 correct, you were given a merit mark. So it did allow for an opportunity to make a mistake and still get full marks. So awesome. Hopefully that highest common factor stuff makes sense. Let's move on to 12 and just chatting with Mr. Oki quite a bit. He absolutely loves his pizza. So we wrote a question about it, and question A asked us to shade or highlight 25% of the pizza. And the way I did this one, I first counted up how many slices I actually had. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I had 8 slices of pizza, and if you did 0.25 times 8, that gets you to 2. So I'm then going to shade in 2 slices. You can shade in any 2 pieces, but there you go. I've shaded in piece 1 and piece 2. You didn't need any of this working for your marks as well. If you shaded in 2 pieces pretty clearly, you were given an achieved mark. We're then looking at if Mr. Oki had 6 slices of the pizza, what percentage did he eat? So I'm going to put that as a fraction, so 6 out of 8. And the way we convert stuff to percentages, we normally times it by 100. And that there becomes 0.75 times 100, which is 75%. If you're able to get that, you got an achieved mark. I went a bit over the top with my working, just so you can clearly see the steps. You didn't need all of those to get your mark, but 75% was the answer. And the final question, how many slices would represent 37.5%? So my first step was I changed the 37.5 into a percentage by dividing it by 100. So 0.375. I'm then going to do 0.375 times 8 because there's 8 slices. And when I did that, I got the answer of 3. And I'm just going to write the word slices next to it just to make sure or clarify what I'm talking about. And that one there rounded off the pizza questions, and that there was another achieved mark. So hopefully got a whole lot of achieved marks coming out of those sections. We're now scrolling down to question 13, and this page here was where a lot of words, but this is where most of the merit and the excellence content was coming from. So hopefully you got a few sneaky marks, but if you found it challenging, it's meant to be challenging, meant to be the hardest page of this section. So the first question, so there are 2,500 students at our high school, and we need to use this information to help with the following questions. So question A, if there were 650 Year 9 students, what percentage of students at Westlake Boys are in Year 9? So keyword percentage. If you didn't do percentage, you probably didn't get your mark. And you need to make a fraction. So 650 out of 2,500, and to convert anything to a percentage, you go times 100. And you then plug that into your calculator, and hopefully your calculator would have got you 26%. And that there was worth a nice achieved mark. So that's question A. Let's have a look at question B. We know that 30% think that lunch breaks are too long, and I couldn't agree with that more. Lunch breaks are way too long. I always just sit in the office being bored. How many students at Westlake think that the lunch break is too long? So my first step, that 30%, I need to divide it by 100 to get a decimal. So 0.3. Now that I've got the decimal, my life's a lot easier. I'm going to go 0.3 times 2,500. And that is going to give us 750. And I'm going to write in that word students afterwards because that's what it's asked us about. If you got that 750 number, there were a few different ways of getting to that answer. No matter how you got there, you would have been awarded a nice merit mark. Hopefully you had some working. If you didn't have any working, don't be shocked if your teacher only gave you an achieve mark instead. So we're now scrolling down. We're on question 14. Mobile or best phones are having a sale of mobile phones. If the original price is $1,200, we need to answer the following questions. And we've been said to ignore GST. So if you don't know what GST is, that's all good. We don't need to worry about it anyway. So if best phones have a 20% discount, how much would that cost us? First step, again, we need to change that into a decimal, and that's going to be 0.2. We're then going to go $1,200 times 0.2. If you plug that into your calculator, that is going to come up with 240. So this 240 relates to the discount we've been given. So we need to find the original amount, 1,200, and we're going to take away the amount of money that we're saving, and that there is going to give us a cost of our phone of $960. So pretty good saving there. Pretty happy with that. If you got that answer right with some working, you've got a merit. If you didn't have working or if it wasn't super clear, don't be shocked if your teacher gave you an achieved mark only. And we've now got our final question for the phone part. The phone's discounted price was $780, so that's how much we bought the phone for. Don't forget the original price is still that $1,200 we mentioned up the top. What percentage is it discounted by? So the first thing we need to know is, well, what is the discount? How much are we actually saving? So we need to go $1,200 minus that $780, and that gets us to a discount of $420. We then need to go 420 divided by that original amount times 100. And when you do that, you're going to get a number of 35%. So that there was the discount we received. So if the phone cost us $780, we were given a 35% discount. That there, because it was a pretty tricky question, that there was given awarded an excellence mark if you got that right with some working. But again, depending on the working you showed, if you didn't show any working, don't be surprised if you were given an achieved or merit mark. And the final question, the last excellence question for this number section. So Mr. Bowman, that's me. I'm thinking of two numbers that multiply to negative 24. I wanted you to list all of the combinations that I could be thinking of. And the easiest one to think of is 1 times 24. That there is going to get us to negative 24. And what made this question a bit trickier is it could also be the opposite. It could be positive 1 and negative 24. So the idea of you doing the opposites showed a bit of insight, which made this an excellence question. The same could be said for 2 and 12. So we can have negative 2, positive 12, and then positive 2 and negative 12. We then keep thinking of the numbers. So I'm thinking 4 and 6 next. So it's going to be negative 4, positive 6, positive 4, and negative 6. And the last one, 3 and 8, is the last combination that comes to my mind. Negative 3 and 8, and then positive 3 and negative 8. So if you got all 8 of them, so all 8, you would have been awarded an excellence mark. So amazing if you got that. If you maybe got 6, maybe you got 6 of the combinations, your teacher would have given you a merit mark. And if you identified any pair, at least one pair correctly, but not up to 6, your teacher would have given you an achieved mark as well. So we've wrapped up the video on that section. Hopefully you found it useful. Just flipping over. These here are the grade boundaries. So for number, you needed at least 6 achieved to pass overall. Then to get into merit, you needed 4 merits. And to get that elusive excellence, which not a lot of us did get, you needed to get 1 E mark in that section. So guys, hopefully you found this video useful. We went through the first section of the number exam. If you've got any other questions, do pop over, ask your teacher. Ask your mate, ask your parents, and they should be able to help you out. Okay, stay tuned for the second video on the probability section.